If you enjoy what we do on these podcasts, please go to mwpnews.com. There you can see articles about some of the movies we've seen, some things that we don't talk about on podcasts, and links to ways you can support the show. Thank you. Good morning and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam, and Dragon Ball Daima, D-A-I-M-A, which is the latest Dragon Ball show to, be released. I have not watched Super. I've seen the movies, the post-Buu Saga movies, excluding Wrath of the Dragon, because I don't think that's canon anymore. But I have seen Resurrection F, I have seen Broly, I have seen Superhero, I have seen Battle of the Gods. All of that said, I don't think any of that's going to be relevant to... it's definitely not, because this is immediately after... This is immediately after the Majin Buu saga. We're not even... And I watched Dragon Ball Z back in the day. I had some of the seasons on DVD, and some of the seasons on Blu-ray, and I really enjoy the show. It's, I think, the biggest anime I was able to get into, though I do want to try My Hero Academia. There's been a lot of cool-looking ones on Crunchyroll, too, which I have. And one of the things with this show is that when it was announced, I was like, oh, so this is going to be a remake of GT. This is going to be canonizing GT to an extent, because it sounds kind of similar on the surface. Goku and his team get pushed back to being kids, and then you have, they have to, get the Dragon Balls together to wish, and then in GT it was the Black Star Dragon Balls here, those Demon Realm Dragon Balls. It's all very similar in initial concept, like the pitch is very similar, but at the end of the day, I'm not 100% certain if, I don't think this is going to go too much, I don't think we're going to get a new form for Goku. We may get a new form for, Kid Goku. I could see, maybe Super Saiyan Kid Goku being canonized in a way that it isn't currently, because we only ever saw it on GT. But, I could see that being canonized, or something like that. And I'd be curious to see how that all plays out, because if I remember correctly from the very end of the episode, we don't see how the team kind of interacts with each other, because if they wish them back to be first graders, and that's the age that they decide, so they'd be 6-7 years old, are we reverting their minds back to that point? Well, no, because Trunks is a baby. That's the thing, that they wish Goten and Trunks to be babies, because they're both already kids. What do you want me to do to them? Make them babies. If I remember correctly, Goten... Oh, no, never mind. Goten turned Super Saiyan during the show when he was a kid. But either way, this again takes place before Battle of the Gods, so I don't think we can get to anything too earth-shattering, because you can't really introduce too many new forms to main Goku or main Vegeta in this. You need to do something, that kind of stays within this show and has a reason why it doesn't go past. So that's going to be the big, the big question. So I think, again, Super Saiyan Kid Goku, you are an asshole, sir. The guy in front of me who decided to cut around me just to get one car length in front of me. But either way, it's I like what they're doing. This idea that, okay, so the Demon King is dead, so now we have a new Demon King taking over the Demon Realm, and, well, actually, the whole thing with the Namekians, they weren't actually, the Namekians weren't actually aliens. They were demons who went and settled on this planet, and now the Namekians are back to being demons, because if you remember, from Dragon Ball, it was Demon King Piccolo, and then it was retcon. It was like, oh no, they're not really demons, they're aliens. It's like, no, they're demons. I like that. It doesn't feel like anything's broken in doing that, but, what's it called? But, we'll see. And then the question is, where does this go? How do they handle this? And it appears that what this show is going to be is they have to gather the Dragon Balls from the Demon Realm, because the Dragon Balls from Earth have been used already. Notably, they were used a few days prior, because this is very briefly after the events of the Majin Buu saga. This is a very quick, what's it called? This is a very quick, changeover, where it's like now we're in the exact same place we were. It's just, 2 days later. So the Dragon Balls are, have already been used, so they can't use it for another year. But somehow the Namekian from the Demon Realm who can do that, who created the Dragon Balls of the Demon Realm, can summon the Earth Dragon Balls all together, so they don't have to go look for them, and then he can also make them able to be used again without having to wait the year. So they do that, which everyone must be first graders. Now they have to put that all right. So how do you do that? You gotta, I guess, gather the Dragon Balls of the Demon Realm. Or, I think the much easier way to do this would probably be to just go to Namek. I don't think they gave a good oh no, didn't they use it? Yes, they did use the Namekian Dragon Balls. I'm sorry. Because Purunga was the one who gave them the wish at the end of Dragon Ball Z to restore Goku's power. So they did just use those two. So all the Dragon Balls have been used. So they do have to go to the Demon Realm. And I think that's going to be where this next episode kind of picks up. It's going to be like them trying... Like, there's an episode in Dragon Ball Z right after the Saiyan saga, which I just started rewatching within the last year. And then I kind of fell off. But it was right before the Funimation app got killed. But there's an episode in that right after the Saiyan saga where they're like, okay, so that did not go well. Like, the Saiyans killed everyone. Like, Yamcha's dead. Piccolo is dead. Chaozu, Tien, they all get killed. And then Goku is very seriously injured. Piccolo is, not Piccolo, Gohan is fine, if I remember correctly. And then, Krillin got hurt too. And, it took Yajirobe to fucking step in and save the day. So it's a dire situation that they find themselves in. And what happens is they're like, okay, so we need to figure out a way to bring them all back to life. We need to figure out a way to fix this so that way we can, get everything back on track and make sure we have all our friends back. Because we need everyone back. And they kind of sit there and they formulate a plan where it's like, okay, we need to figure out where, because they mentioned Namek. There's a planet called Namek, and that's where they, they recognize Piccolo as being a Namekian. They recognized him, and they're like, okay, so we have to go and, and go to Namek, find their Dragon Balls, and use them to bring everyone back to life. And how are we going to get there? Okay, we need to find a ship. We need to build a ship that can get there fast, and then we have to get there quick. Okay, but what if we encounter something there because they seem to be afraid of something? Which is kind of like setting the first groundwork for Frieza. And then, what if they told someone, or I think they figure out that the scouters are transmitters too, so someone on the other end is aware of the Dragon Balls too, and they can use that to make a wish. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we all need to get there quick, get these Dragon Balls, use them, so that way we are set and ready to go if something should arise. So, that all being said, you get to, like, that's, I think, what the next episode's gotta be, is they all gotta come together and be like, okay, we are now kids, we don't have the power we've gotten over the last however many years it's been, like, we need to figure out how we're going to, A, restore ourselves, and B, this didn't just happen on accident, we need to figure out, you know, who did this, why. So, like, they're gonna go to the lookout, they're gonna talk to, you know, they're gonna talk to Dende, who's gonna explain what happened, and then they're gonna be like, okay, we gotta get to the Demon Realm and get their Dragon Balls, and I would assume Supreme Kai is gonna have something to do with this too, but, you know, we'll see. What else have we got? I did like how they redid some of the animations from Dragon Ball Z to recreate some of the more iconic moments from, you know, from Dragon Ball Z, but with the more modern animation visual that we're familiar with. Like the, you know, getting to see that the end of, you know, like the fight between Vegeta and Goku in the World Tournament, when he's Majin Vegeta, and then, like, you know, the arrival of Boo, what was the other big one that they did? The very end when he kills Kid Buu with the Spirit Bomb, like, all those things being redone in animation. I think that's kind of one of the things that's, like, hit or miss for the episode for me, where it's like the first, like, it feels like almost 10 minutes of the episode is just straight, okay, so here's what happened in the Majin Buu saga, because you probably haven't watched it in a very long time. So, like, let's just get everyone caught up to speed, everyone on the same page about what happened here, everyone, like, alright, everyone knows where we are now, everyone knows who lived, who died, who tells whose story, great, move on, let's go on to, you know, what the next part of this is. And I think to an extent they do a fairly good job of bringing everyone up to speed. That said, if you remember the Majin Buu saga, all it's doing is retreading stuff you already know. You're not spending any time with anything new. It's just, here are the, well, I mean, you're spending time with new characters, but it's literally them watching a TV screen and skipping through the Majin Buu saga until they get to, okay, this one's dead, okay, this one's dead, okay, this one's dead. Like, until they get to that, like, you're just kind of, you know, stuck, for lack of a better word. Like, you're just kind of watching through that, and then it's like, okay, so these guys are powerful, these guys are a problem for us, we have to figure out how to defeat them, which kind of makes sense, because if you think about it, it's like, why would, you know, Deborah show up? And then everyone's just like, oh, okay, well, I mean, if the Demon King dies, you would think someone would come to figure out who killed the Demon King. That's kind of an important thing to happen, and for no one to, you know, show up and be like, hey, you know, what happened? So, it's interesting, and I like the way they're setting out the world. I would just be a little more interested in, I think it's the half-hour episode that's kind of getting me on that. It's having to recenter my mind in a world where I'm watching a serialized show in half-hour increments. Where it's like, yeah, we watched Kite Man, and yeah, we watched Harley Quinn, but those aren't really, you know, those are serialized, quote-unquote, because they're following one long story over the course of the show. But at the same time, they're not really, because, like, you can watch one episode without watching the next, and until you get to the very end, it's like, yeah, it's building on itself, but not really to the degree where you're like, everything I've watched up until this point is building up, and each episode is building something new. Whereas, like, one, like, Agatha All Along, we'll use that as an example, or, like, The Penguin, for a better show, as the example, where it's like, both of these shows are serialized. Both of these shows are there for an hour, and if you have not watched the previous episode, you will probably be confused in this episode, because something happened last time, and you need to know what happened. And to that end, I think that's kind of my issue. Like, that's kind of what this is. You're in that same place here. If you do not watch the last episode, you will not understand this one. That said, doing that in a half-hour period kind of puts you in a situation where it's like, oh, there's not a ton of time for them to really put all of the information that you need into one, into one episode. They do need to do a little more than that to get everything kind of situated. And what's the looking for here? I'm interested to see how this all ends up going. But we'll see. Because I think ultimately my biggest issue is going to be that, like, this is going to do too much to expand and change the canon without having a lasting repercussion down the line. Unless this is something that's going to have an impact in what they're doing. Have they done the Black Frieza arc yet? I know Toriyama passed, but I know they introduced Frieza in his new form, and they were going into a new Frieza saga. Because it's like, after the Tournament of Power, they did like 2 or 3 more arcs. And I think they were about to get into Black Frieza. Or Frieza Black, and then they just didn't yet. And I just want to see, what, can I just say something with all of this? Like, can we just get, like, final, cooler version Frieza? Like, Cooler had that fucking awesome, very pointy final form in the Cooler movie. Like, why doesn't Frieza get that form? That'd be so awesome. Like, for a final form for Frieza. Instead of just getting alternate recolors of his existing character design. I'm sure there's a reason behind it. But regardless, we will wrap up there for today. We'll be back. We're definitely going to do Agatha All Along later this week. We're definitely going to do... what's the other one? We're definitely going to do... we're going to do a movie this week. I'm not sure which one yet, because the full schedule for Thursday and Friday is not out yet at my movie theater that I go to, and the issue with that is I can't select a showtime, because, I can, but I want to see the full list of offerings and the full offering times without, that way I can make a good decision on what we're gonna talk about this week. But we'll talk about all of that as the time comes, and we'll have updates probably tomorrow. I think we're going to end up doing the franchise tomorrow. We're going to catch up with the franchise, which we haven't started yet. But until our next episode, have a great rest of your